See if you can guess which one of Owen and I got a haircut. Here, go on, give him a little. Yep. For audio listeners, this is going to be tough. Anyway, Locked On Syracuse starts right now.
Are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Matt Bonaparte, Owen Valentine with you on your Friday episode. Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. We're free. We're available wherever you get podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Underdog. Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo code Locked On and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Okay.
300.
We're talking about Syracuse's game day. It's tomorrow, people. 5 p.m. game, which is the most insane time to have a football game. Who plays at 5 p.m.? Syracuse and Wagner. That's who in the JMA Wireless Dome. Get pumped. Get hyped. This game, I won't lie, is not one of the most exciting ones on the schedule. When you look at Wagner and you put them in the scope of other teams that haven't won a game in a really long time, they're still towards the bottom of even that tier of teams.
Yeah.
Also, the exciting part, I did the calendarial math. I don't know if calendarial is a word, but I did the calendar math. It is on game day. So tomorrow, when you are packing the dome, it will have been exactly 3 years and 3 days since Wagner won its last football game, which was September 28th, 2019, a nooner in Staten Island, where Wagner hosted Long Island University and beat him 24-14. Haven't won since. They have a tough team that isn't very good. Dino Babers, though, in his press conference this week, seemed to take it seriously, which I think some people will mock him for, but I mean, I'd rather the coach take it seriously than not, because we've seen teams get beat this year, and I don't want to watch Syracuse get beat by the worst team ever. So far this season, Wagner is 0-3. They lost week 1 to Fordham, week 2 to Rutgers, and week 3 to St. Francis University. So they have not had an easy go of it thus far. They come to Syracuse for week 4. Syracuse looking to be 5-0. So let's start on what we do every week before a game. We'll give you what we want to see. We'll give you a question each of us have, and then we'll give you predictions, and then you get excited about the game. That's usually how this goes. So, Owen, what do you want to see? Wait, before we say anything, I would just like to say that Owen and I made a pact before the show that we would not talk about injuries because it's the biggest cop-out answer of all time, where it's like, I just don't want him to get hurt, man. Easy to say. Obviously, we don't want him to get hurt. All right, now go.
What do I want to see? A goose egg, a big fat 0 on the Wagner scoreboard. That is my goal. That is my priority. That is what I want to see walking out of this game. It's going to be the first shutout since the season opener in 2019, 24-0 against Liberty. If you remember, they had 8 sacks in that game. It was nuts. They were a constant presence. They torched Buckshot Calvert. Absolutely destroyed that man. A presence in the backfield nonstop. I want to see that again this game. I want to see Syracuse come out and put on a defensive clinic in this game. We know what this defense can do. Show it again. Show it how good you are, how effective you can be, and let me see what's going on. I want to see them walk out of this game with a shutout. And I know that's a big ask, and it's asking a lot because of how simply, a shutout can be put to bits and be blown up and not be a 0 any longer. But I do think that should be the goal and that should be the priority because there is that much of a talent discrepancy between these two teams, which is nuts to say when you're talking about Syracuse football. To talk about that drastic of a talent discrepancy in a football game like this is crazy, but it is so true in this case. Syracuse needs to show that, and they do show that on the defensive side with a 0 on the scoreboard for Wagner.
A shutout would be really cool. I think we'd
That'd
all
be
love to see a
awesome.
shutout.
Yeah.
And it's Wagner. Like, I feel like the biggest, like, the reason that it wouldn't be is like the defense just gets tired at the end of the game and they're like, I'll let him in the end zone. Who cares?
Yeah.
Um,
But hopefully that
but
doesn't happen.
I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope you're right. I hope that is something that we do see in the game. All right, the thing I would like to see, and there's no excuse for this. At this point, you're playing the worst team possibly that plays football at this level, or even at the level they're at, one level below Syracuse in the FCS rather than the FBS. Two or less O line penalties. I don't want to see an O line penalty. I'm giving you two, a margin of two. You can have two. All right, Vetterello, I'm looking at you. Okay, if I see one, if you, how can the center have a false start? I don't get it. Okay, doesn't make any sense. Carlos, figure it out, and you too, Dakota, figure it out, guys, because this offensive line can no longer be what some people are calling the soft underbelly of this team. Okay, they cannot
Oh,
be that. All right, two or
it's a
less
quote.
O line penalties. I won't have it. I will not have it any further. Everybody thought, okay, it was week one. They had 18 against Louisville, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kept happening. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. It's happening in your own home. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
true, right? You have no crowd noise that you're dealing with in terms of the offensive side of the ball. Figure it out, really hone in this week on being on the same page and really buying into doing everything possible on that line to all be in sync and to do what you're supposed to do, right? This is as pressure-free of a football game as you're going to play at this level. Play as if it's a pressure-free football game, and you do not have O-line penalties in pressure-free football games, especially when you are this much better than the team that you are playing. There should be no reason that you'd false start or jump or whatever that quick little hitch might be. Be smart, play the game that you have shown at times you can play as an O-line, and walk out of there with a strong O-line performance. I'll take it a step further. I know this is what you want to see. I'm taking over. It's going to be what Bones wants to see, plus a little hint of Owen. I, I want to see a strong O line performance, as relative of that as that might be. I really do want them to have an outstanding performance, even if it is against a Wagner team that is hot garbage. Okay, do something, go out and play a flawless game as an O line, and show us that it is possible, even if it's a garbage game, that you can come out and really have that solid O line showing where you're consistently, protecting Schrader and creating holes for Tucker and doing the job that you are supposed to do as an experienced offensive line. I am not sold on them right now. This weekend is not going to really change that for me completely, but it is definitely something that can get worse this weekend in my mind. So I do not want it to get any worse in terms of my mental, I guess, confidence in terms of this O line. This is a week where it can't get better, but it definitely could get worse in terms of my mental approach.
Yeah, that's a good point. And nothing, I mean, yeah, can't really get all that much better. I mean, Syracuse is another week undefeated, but at this point, we're all expecting that. And it can only, if they lose this game, it's just catastrophic. So, and I obviously, there's nobody on the planet who expects them to lose this game except like the most diehard Wagner football fan on the planet. But
Yes, I can hear it. We match up with them real well. We exploit their weaknesses,
all
whatever
right,
it may be.
so
ESPN, FBI, 99.8% winners. 499 times out of 500, Syracuse wins this football game.
Owen wants
That's
to see
nuts.
a 0 on the scoreboard under Wagner's name. I want to see two or less offensive line penalties. We will tell you what questions we have going into this game after this advertisement from Underdog. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to spice up college football season. All right, it's very easy to use. Give you some examples on some bets you could have taken earlier in the season, back in week one or week two, whenever these teams played. You could, in a pick 'em for the weekend, you could have taken UNC quarterback Drake May higher than 254 and a half passing yards against Notre Dame, or Notre Dame starter Drew Pine lower than 217 and a half. or Malik Cunningham, who played Syracuse week 1, to have over 95.5 rushing yards. But that didn't happen. It's very easy to play and available in over 30 states. Just pick between 2 and 5 players across any team, not just your team, not just Syracuse, and decide if they will finish higher or lower. One of the easiest fantasy games to play out there, and you can win cold hard cash in a single game. Sign up with the promo code Locked On, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Deposit $100, get $100 free. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or find the Underdog Fantasy app in the App Store, Google Play Store. And that's Underdog Fantasy promo code Locked On. That's one word, Locked On. Get in on the college football pick'em action today. Okay, Matt Bonaparte, Owen Valentine, back with you here on Locked On Syracuse. We're talking SU Wagner going into Saturday on your Friday episode. Okay, so we did what we want to see. Owen wants to see that 0. I want to see 2 or less O-line penalties. Let's talk questions now. Owen, what is your question?
My question is, oh boy, thank you. Will a backup surprise us? Will
I just know
a
you
backup
so well.
surprise us? I'm blanking. Okay, it's been a great day, so we're gonna keep having a great day. Will a backup surprise us in this game? Right, we've been talking about how much of a blowout this game should be, and in a blowout like this, we talked about our cop out, don't get hurt, all of that. You're gonna see the backups. You're gonna see guys that are going to have way more snaps in this game than we're used to seeing them in all likelihood. And I think that gives you the chance for maybe a reserve player or someone that we're not used to seeing taking significant snaps, making a big play or two and sort of catching the eye. And that's something that I would be really interested to see in this game, is to see who does step up with a little bit more run in this game. Or is that someone? Is it a couple of people? Is it no one? But I think it would be really valuable information to know, like, hey, this guy that we haven't really gotten to see a ton of is still, outstanding, is still that guy, or can be a bigger contributor to this team at different times. I don't exactly know who I have in mind to be that guy, but I really am going to be watching those reserve minutes or those later second half minutes to see who is contributing in this point. Will we get to see a little run out of Carlos Del Rio Wilson, get a little update on sort of how he's doing and that thing?
Don't go too far. Don't go too far there. Got another question coming up.
You tell your question.
My question, coincidentally, is do we see extended time from Carlos Del Rio Wilson? Really interested about that. I'd love to see if we get to see a half, perhaps, out of Carlos Del Rio Wilson. That would be really interesting. What I was going to say about your question is that the beauty of it is that you don't have to pinpoint anybody, because it is.
We want to be surprised.
Is there a guy we don't know about that can play, basically?
Yes.
But my question is, do we see extended time from Carlos Del Rio Wilson? I don't know if we do, because it seems to me like Dino and the rest of the coaching staff are kind of like, we don't want to take out the starters unless we are up 100 points. But like, they could be up 100 points. So maybe we will see them. Going back to the thing we said about before about how we wouldn't talk about injuries, like, I don't want to see guys get injured, and like obviously nobody does. So like, why not just throw in the backups and see what they can do against a team like this? Obviously not the whole game, but like if you're up 40 at halftime, let Carlos play. Like we saw one throw out of Carlos last week, and it was like, granted he was like 2 feet over the line of scrimmage, but it was still a great athletic play. And I like watching that kid play. So I'd love to see what Carlos can do in this game.
Yeah, this is a game where, if I'm going to throw a few names out there, and I know we just said that we're not going to do this because we want to be surprised, but I'll throw a name or two out there.
Go ahead. Throw a name.
I think we know I'm incredibly high on Jeremiah Wilson. I'd love to see him, make a play or two or continue to play well. I remember that end of that UConn game, just him jumping in there, and his energy was just absolutely electric and so contagious. It was really, really fun to watch. So I'm excited to see him probably get in this game a little more. We talked about it, and this is not really a reserve or a surprise guy, but I'd be interested to see like how Trevor Pena is used in this game a little bit and what he can do. I know I'm not listing surprises yet, so I can be surprised by anyone besides those two guys. But those are like the two sort of non-major role guys that I am most excited for. And I think, Jeremiah Wilson is just me being excited for the future and being hyped still from the one-handed interception from preseason camp, and his energy and his just sort of electric play style has always stuck out to me. And then Trevor Pena, I think I have my eyes on just because of the key role he could play in this offense. And I think right now he's a lesser role in terms of involvement, but I think that definitely can continue to grow. And this is a week where you might be able to see some of the ways that can grow with him.
Sure. I'd like to see Jeremiah. That'd be really cool. But also, like, I love watching Garrett Williams just like snatch footballs out of the air. So, like, that's cool as well.
Here's the cool thing. Jeremiah can also snatch a football out of the air.
Yeah, he can. And he is
How
the
can he?
future, after all. So you're right about that. I would like to see Jeremiah. He's cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially on the defensive line, now that we know Tyler Lockett's out for the year.
Scary.
Because there are, what did I say? Oh, I said Tyler again. He's on my fantasy team, so I've been thinking about him
That's
a lot.
okay.
He's pretty good
That's
too.
worse that you said it. I at least am a Seattle fan, so I have the out. You're just doing fantasy reference.
Yeah. Terry Lockett out for the year.
There we go.
So the defensive line is now at a point where we don't know every face that's going to be there. Like, we know who's going to play. Like, it's going to be Chatiski or Steve Linton, Kevon Darton, Caleb Okechukwu. But, like, how about Chase Simmons? How about Elijah Fuentes Cundiff? Huh? But you haven't heard Elijah Fuentes Cundiff a lot. All right? Maybe he comes out and makes a play. You're shook that I went to Elijah Fuentes Cundiff right there. You're shook, Owen. You're giggling. Yeah, because you didn't think I was going
Just
to whip
didn't
that
expect you
out
to
on
say
you.
it 6 times.
What about not who? Isn't there a guy Jaquez? Something Jaquez?
Oh, yeah. It's Dennis Jaquez Jr.
Yeah, Dennis Jaquez Jr. I was gonna say Jaime Jaquez, but he plays for UCLA basketball. I'm all out of whack today. So Dennis, I'd like to see as well. So there's plenty of options on the defensive line for your question. But anyway, my question, Carlos, go make some plays, kid. I want to see it. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Audio listeners, ads right here. Video listeners, you stay with us. Let's do predictions. It's prediction time. Let me get this question out of here. Predictions this week. Granted, I don't know. I mean, we're both going to predict a win. I can guarantee you that. Let me just say, we haven't been wrong all year. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Neither of us have been incorrect on a game. That's nuts.
Like, maybe you could call us homers for that, but like, I don't think so. We're just right?
It's kind of funny too, because I predicted us at 4-8, and I predicted Syracuse at 4-8 preseason, and
Yeah, but
I've
then you
had
saw
them.
the first game.
Yeah, all right, never mind.
What?
Never mind.
Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah.
Now we're stealing each other's thunder today.
You got me. All right. I also, maybe I am wrong on this, but I have not seen a line for this game. Not that there could be one, but I am just curious to see, is there a spread anywhere?
I don't know. You're kind of like the guy.
I'm
for
on
this.
Action Network. You talk. Let me see. There wasn't one when I checked this morning.
I'm a good filibuster
Still
for
nothing.
this kind of thing. Still nothing? You can't find
Still
anything?
nothing. I saw something today. I don't think it's correct. I saw 55. That can't
No
be correct,
way.
right?
There's no
Someone
chance
said
it's
that.
55 points.
I agree, but like, oh, hold on, Odd Shark. Yeah.
55 points?
Hold on, now it's disappeared. Where did it go?
Come on.
So when I click on the game, it doesn't appear.
All right, well, that's weird.
It says Wagner plus 54.5, Cuse minus 54.5.
All right. I will say, what was the score when they played them 2018? I think it was 62-7. Am I right in saying
that?
It?
It? I will tell
it
you.
was the first game I ever watched in the Dome as a student.
Was it 62-7? That does sound
Yes, it was 62-10. Okay, 62-10.
okay. You blew it.
I did 3 points.
62-10.
All right, Owen, what's your
Wow.
prediction? That doesn't cover, by the way. Syracuse does not cover in a 62-10
Wow,
victory.
that's nuts. That's nuts. 54 and a half points is crazy. Now I want to reevaluate.
All right, I'm going to go
Did
first
you
here.
have one?
Since you're dilly-dallying, I'm going to go. They're not going to kick a field goal. Maybe they will. Should I count for one field goal? Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm thinking. I guess I want to try and get this right. I'm going to say Syracuse wins this football game 67-10.
Wow, that's a cover.
67-10, Syracuse wins.
Wow. I am on 51-7.
Wow, they don't even score enough points to be eligible for, like, they don't even have a chance.
55 points is a ton of points.
Yeah, well, you want to know the stats behind it, Owen? Wagner hasn't allowed, well, they've played one Power 5 team this year, and they gave up 66 points. So,
51-7.
all right, 51-7's his guess.
Actually,
he's going actually.
51-3.
If you want some stats on what they did
51-3.
last year, let's see. Power 5 teams they played last year. They didn't play a single one. They lost to Buffalo 69-7 last year, 56-7 to Fordham, 44-0 to Duquesne.
58-3.
They barely
I'll give
cover.
him, I'll
What
give
a
him an
cover.
extra touchdown. No, I'm not caving. 51-3.
All right, there it is. He's 51-3. I'm 67-10. That's it. Okay. We will see you on Monday when we recap. But before we go, I got to say, go get more on the ACC by making Locked On ACC your second listen every day. Host Candace Cooper and the local experts of Locked On take you across the Atlantic Coast Conference in just half an hour. Make Locked On ACC your second listen. That is Locked On ACC. I'm Matt Bonaparte. He's Owen Valentine. Hopefully, we're coming to you live, probably not live, pre-recorded on Monday after a Syracuse victory. See you then.